Andrew, thank you for sending me this copy of The Kingdom of Cain, Finding God in the Literature of Darkness. Beautiful front cover, by the way.
Yeah, really.
Did you have much say in it?
No, they didn't have to have it. They showed up with great work.
I've only written a few books, but there's nothing so depressing as when they come up with a cover you hate.
Yes, I hate that.
But I read the whole book. It's not a book for the faint of heart, but it is a very good book, and so I want people to go check it out. The Kingdom of Cain, Finding God in the Literature of Darkness. Hey, before we begin, and because this is just so topical right now, what are your thoughts on the Conclave, the death of Pope Francis, and the upcoming election of the new Pope?
Well, since I saw the movie Conclave, I understand that they get together to find the one person who has both sexual organs, and they make him Pope. I guess that's how it works. I've never understood that before. First, I think it's important to say I'm an Anglican Catholic, which means I am not connected to the Church of Rome, but my theology and yours are probably fairly similar in many ways. I don't feel that I have any business saying whether a Pope is good for the Catholic Church. I don't feel like that's my role, I feel it's fair for me to talk about him as a public figure in the same way that, like, for instance, I thought John Paul II was one of the great heroes of my lifetime. He was just an amazing, amazing person. Was he good for the Church? I have no idea, I saw, is it Timothy Dolan? Is he the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cardinal Timothy Dolan from New York City.
He was asked what kind of new Pope he wanted, and he said, I would like somebody who has Pope Francis's, loving nature and his popularity, but it would be nice if he had more, if he was more invested in the Church. I thought what he was saying was, nice man, wish you were Catholic.
A bit more precision, like the precision of Benedict, the philosophy of Wojtyła, John Paul II.
And there were moments with Pope Francis when I would see him touch a person who was sick, and he obviously did have a sincere feeling for people in trouble, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And sometimes he would touch somebody with I would think I wouldn't touch that person, and I just think that's beautiful. It did seem in terms of politics, which is the only way I can judge him, I thought he was too amorphous and too caught up in South American dilemmas. I can almost forgive a person from South America for being a communist if what he's fighting against is the fascism, because they're both sides are just terrible, And so I thought his ideas, like, is there some demand that the Pope know anything about economics? I don't think so.
Is that why we elected you too? I think that's the other thing. There seemed to be this concern about the horizontal, which is certainly a concern, right? The Church teaches about morality, and that should be a thing. But the vertical, I think I would like the next pontificate to be just a quiet pontificate. Can we just, please just.
But I will say this, as an Anglican Catholic.
Be sure to download Truthfully. Truthfully is like ChatGPT, went to OCIA, got baptized, and now is on a mission to evangelize the world. Check it out, truthfully.ai.
The Roman Church is our last wall of defense. And so, because it has so much power and so much history and so much authority in the world, that if they fall, we're just like this little outpost of the faith. And so, for me personally, selfishly, because I love my church and I love I love the religious part of my religious part of my spiritual life. I love. For me, I would like somebody who was just a straight down the road, old-fashioned Catholic, And even if I disagree with them, I prefer that, because I feel like that's the wall. And every time, the famous line that he had where they asked him about gay priests, and he said, "Who am I to judge?" And I thought, well, I that's the way I feel. Who am I to judge? But if you're Catholic, I want you to be hard line, because that's my protection, so I can be a little loosey-goosey in my own life, And I feel like a certain kind of orthodoxy is important, even when I disagree with it.
Yeah, it's like if you grew up in a family where dad's like, whatever. He's like, I'd like you to tell me what to do, and then I'll disobey you if I want.
Exactly. And I think it's such a powerful church, such a beautiful church. I was in New York, and I couldn't find a good Anglican church, so I went to the Catholic.
Settled for the Catholic.
Yes, settled for the. Well, it's settling because they won't let you take communion, which is the heart of my worship, But it was so beautiful and so ritualistic, and the music was beautiful. And I was just like happy to be there.
Good.
And I want that preserved, and I want somebody who cares about it being preserved. Also, even though I loved John Paul II, my favorite pope of my lifetime was Benedict XVI, because I've read, 7 of his books, and his theology has shaped mine, and I just would like somebody of that level, if that's possible. I like that African guy, Sarah. I've read a couple of his books, but he's kind of old, I think, at this point.
He's old. Yeah. I want the blackest man.
The black man.
From the deepest heart of Africa.
Yeah.
It is interesting that all these people that are supposedly racists are like, just please give us an African.
Please. I love them. They're like that.
That's where the church is flourishing. Like the church is dying off wherever liberalism gets its hooks.
This is the thing. The other thing that gets me, when modern poetry came along, poetry went from being the most popular art form to being nothing. And yet the modernists insisted that this is what must be done. We must kill this art form by writing these things. And if the church is looking at itself, it dies wherever it modernizes and liberalizes, and it grows wherever it consolidates and is conservative. So why not go where the love is, right? I mean, that's...
Progress is a bad idea if you're progressing over a cliff.
Yes.
Cliff.
Yes. Turn
around.
But anyway, I never had the animosity toward Francis that a lot of people had for his liberalism, because I did feel he was a man of heart, and I think that counts.
Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.